So it's been a couple of years since Mrs. 52Q's, my wife Shannon, and I have taken a proper vacation. Not a staycation where you stay at home and kind of do what you usually do, but maybe you don't check emails. No, we had a proper vacation a couple of weeks ago, and we booked a trip up to Chattanooga with no real agenda other than not doing what we do here. Now, if you know anything about me, I'm a pretty meticulous planner. I like to know where we're going, whether it's dinner or watching a movie or staying in a house 8.5 hours up the road. Well, things didn't exactly go as planned up on our trip. And so I wanted to welcome Mrs. 52Q's back to the podcast, and I wanted to talk about it because as much as I prepared for this trip, it became pretty apparent right away that things were not going to go according to Dave's schedule. And this includes things like showing up at the movie theater at the wrong time or going the wrong way down a one-way street, getting rerouted through the heart of Atlanta during rush hour, and it even involves hang gliders. So stick with me for this week's episode of the 52Q's podcast because I think the universe is trying to teach me something. What is happening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the 52Q's podcast, where every week we talk about all things production and library music. My name is Dave Kropf, and not only am I a composer of production and library music, but I am also a full-time professor of music composition. And so it is so good to be with you here today, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the audio on the go. I just want to thank you for spending part of your day here with me. Also, as always, a massive word of thanks to the family, friends, and neighbor subscribers of 52Q's who are composers just like you looking to write better music, but also find success in the sync music industry. And 52Q's is there to help with live streams, workshops, Zoom feedback sessions, an amazing community, and a ton more. If you want to join us, you can head over to 52qs.com. It is free to join, but if you want to dig a little bit deeper and maybe join us on the subscriber level, then stick around because I'm going to be talking about that a little bit later in today's episode. Speaking of later in today's episode, I am featuring my most recent hip-hop comedy cue called Leave the Cannoli, which in addition to being kind of hip-hop and dramedy and comedy, also sprinkles in some melodica played as an accordion, which inadvertently gave it this kind of Don Corleone Godfather vibe. And so we're going to be listening to Leave the Cannoli a little bit later. But right now, I want to jump into my most recent conversation with Shannon, my wife of 31 years. And, going on vacation has been part of our relationship since the beginning. But this last trip really was unique and interesting. And I wanted to bring her on so that we could talk about that experience and maybe what we've learned and what the universe is really trying to teach us. I am so happy to welcome back to the podcast. I don't know why I'm singing.
Wow. Impressive.
You think it bodes well that my singing voice impresses you. Mrs. 52Q's, my lovely bride of 31 years. My dear, how are you doing today?
I am awesome. How is it up there in the music suite?
I know. She's coming and taping live all the way from downstairs. It's just, you have your space, I have my space. But had to bring you onto the podcast because, we went on vacation a couple of weeks ago. We left for the week and we didn't do any 52Q stuff. We did have a podcast, but
I don't know that I would say we didn't do any 52Q stuff.
Yeah, and that's part of the story.
We might be getting ahead of ourselves there.
So even though we're going to talk about some things that really went sideways, just know that it ends well. If you clicked on the thumbnail for this episode, then you will see this is where we end up. Now, Shannon, you might ask, What in the world is this?
I have a question, Dave.
Do you have a question? What is that question?
My question is this, and it was when you first started talking about wanting to do a podcast about our vacation, my thought was, what in the world does our vacation have to do with production music?
That is a fantastic question. And I was recently listening to an episode of the Graham Cochran podcast, who started the recording revolution, coaching, and now does entrepreneurial and business coaching. And one of his guests came on and was talking about, it's not enough just to teach people how to do things. You can't teach somebody how to do something until you teach them who to be, because who they are informs how and what they do. And so this podcast has always embraced that, which is why we talk about heady philosophical things, because I believe, as I know you do, that we are whole human beings. So we can't just put, I'm a composer in a bucket over here, and like I'm a person who likes playing World of Warcraft over there. I'm a full-time teacher and I like going on vacations and I skateboard. I don't skateboard, but we
you
don't
do
put
rollerblade.
things. I do. I did past tense rollerblade. But because learning life lessons and opening your mind and your mind's ear to what the universe is trying to teach you when things go wrong time after time after time, it informs who you are as a composer, because who I am as a composer is not divorced from who I am as a person. Mm-hmm. So that's why I wanted to bring you on the show. And that's why I wanted to talk about our vacation.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So
it reminds me of James Gunn's famous one rule on set. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, you can't be an asshole.
Just don't be an asshole. That's the only rule.
Yep.
And I've heard people over the years talk about, talent trumps whatever. And just after 30 years more working with very talented people, very lovely people, I will say I will take the cool dude over the talented dude every time. So anyway.
You can teach skills, but it's hard to unteach being a jerk.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. So that's why we're going to spend the next little bit talking about our vacation. And by the way, I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. When was the last time we actually went away on vacation?
Went away?
I feel like it's been a minute. We've done staycations before, but
sure.
Actually getting to F out of Orlando. How long has it been?
The last time I remember is summer of 2021. And I remember that for a very specific reason that had to do with my job at the time and all that. But yeah, it's been a good 4 years.
Yeah.
And when we staycation, we don't really do anything life-giving.
Yeah,
we do lots of fun things. We watch, movie marathons and cook popcorn and go swimming and all that. And it's great. But it's just a cessation from activity. It's not an active rejuvenation.
That's right. It's more just putting a pause on all of our responsibilities, and then they just all come kind of crashing back on us when we return.
That's the truth.
So we've done the staycation thing, but we knew that this year we needed to get out of town. And so while we were looking at where to go, we were thinking about, Helen, Georgia. We almost went last year, but hurricanes, blew through and kind of blew that plan out of the water, no pun intended. And so like, okay, this is the year that we're going to do it. And as my gift for you, I was like, you know what, honey, I'm just going to take care of everything. What the destination is, what the house we were going to rent is. You don't have to worry. You didn't even know we were going to Chattanooga. I picked Chattanooga because I've heard it's a really cool town. We used to go to school in the mountains of North Carolina, so we kind of knew mountainy. We used to live in Tennessee, so we knew Tennessee geography. So one of the big reasons that I was wanting the mountains is we wanted to get out of the city. We wanted to get out of the bustle. We wanted to get out of traffic. We wanted to get out of the noise. We wanted to be in the mountains. And so I knew things were kind of going off the rails a little bit, just even on the trip up. We're going up I-75 and our GPS takes us through downtown Atlanta in the middle of rush hour, bumper to bumper traffic, which is, as you know, Shannon, my favorite kind of traffic.
Of course.
And so that wasn't great, but we eventually get up to Chattanooga at the house that you hadn't seen, that I did end up showing you some pictures of. And it looked gorgeous.
It was exactly our taste and our style, and the view was incredible. It overlooked downtown Chattanooga, and the pictures online didn't even do it justice.
That's right.
When we walked in and saw the view, I was like, shut up. This is amazing.
Yeah, a whole wall of windows panorama. And I chose that for the view first and for its proximity to Chattanooga, because in my mind, we were going to, kind of spend day trips going into Chattanooga. Chattanooga has an amazing zoo or aquarium. I don't know if they actually have a zoo, but they have an aquarium that's like top shelf. And I was like, let's do that. And Chattanooga has a really big IMAX theater. And I was like, let's do that as well. And so that's why I chose that. And so we got there. It was already kind of nighttime. We're already tired. The trip up took like an hour more than it should have because of getting detoured through downtown Atlanta at rush hour. And so we're tired, and we see this view, which is breathtaking. We walked in, and the little drive up is like this really little kind of dirt road, and it's exactly what I wanted. All right, I wanted it to feel far away, but not actually be far away, so that we have proximity to everything that we wanted to do. And walked in. The house is a little bit older, I think, but the view was just drop dead gorgeous. And I was like, okay, all right, let's do this. Let's do this thing. So Shannon, what was your impression on arrival?
View is gorgeous. Furnishings are gorgeous. Exactly what it looked like on paper. Unfortunately, it was about this far from a major interstate highway, and in the mountains, and coming around a curve. And so we were getting not just regular interstate noise, but also like 18-wheelers, when they slow down, they go goo, 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 or whatever.
Air brakes or
air
whatever.
brake.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. And it was offensively loud. And just a reminder that I was at a point where I had to get away and get some quiet. I have to be real careful with my energy because I'm just real sensitive about a lot of things, from light to people and, whatever. It was like there was something sitting on the back of my neck, grumbling at me all the time. It was a weird sensation. So then I started looking around, and I was like, well, there's a weird duality to this place, because it looks amazing. It's furnished great. It's got this view. But the bathrooms had unfinished wood on all the surfaces that had clearly been unfinished for years. And I thought that was so weird. So we went in the bedroom to put our stuff down, and the table's literally caked with dust. And I'm just like, what is going on here? So I walked back out into the kitchen, and in the afternoon sunlight, because it was late afternoon when we got there, you can just see handprints all over everything. And I didn't tell you, Dave, I'm sorry. I was so freaked out that first night. I was like, oh my God, we have to stay here a whole week in this dirty, non-kept, loud, inconvenient place. And I was devastated. Didn't tell Dave any of that.
No, but I sensed,
Yeah.
I sensed that, maybe not all is right.
Yes. And then there was a little porch off of the kitchen. And this was just the second story of a house. So we didn't have any like outside space or anything other than this one porch. We went out. Not only was it infested with giant spiders, which that's a no-go for me to start with, it was so much louder outside that we couldn't even talk to each other. And so we go to bed. Next day we get up. We're hanging, chilling. I'm like, just shut up, Shannon. Just shut up, Shannon. Dave's not stupid. He's been married to me for over 30 years. He knows something's up. So how did that manifest to you, Dave?
Well, before we go there, we did have one kind of magical moment during sunset.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, I don't think this house is going to work. We didn't buy the insurance, cancellation insurance and all that stuff. So I'm like, oh man, but maybe the view will salvage it. And for a fleeting moment,
it did.
Because
it was incredible.
It was gorgeous. It lived up to the hype of that house and all the reviews. And of course, I read all of the Verbo reviews. I knew exactly like what people said, and mentioning kind of the state of the house that wasn't really a thing. There was maybe one comment about sound and noise, but everybody else just kind of like, it's not a problem.
Yeah. People even said like, we stayed there all weekend. I never noticed any noise. I'm like, that is not possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and not just for oversensitive Shannon. Like there is no way you can stay in that house for a weekend and not hear the traffic.
Right.
So somebody ain't telling the truth about something. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And so the next morning we get up, and there were some other weird things about the house. And this really isn't about this house is not worth the price or anything, but like some of the light switches didn't work. And so I'm like, oh, okay, all right, we'll make it work. And so the next morning, it's a gorgeous morning, it's crystal clear outside, and it's awesome. It's Sunday morning, and we make some coffee and we're sitting down, and we had like moved the chairs right up to the window, we put our feet up, we're sipping our coffee. We've got like Oscar Peterson playing, and I'm like, okay, Shannon, how are you doing? How are you doing with the sound? Now, you asked, how did I feel? I felt at the time like, oh, I have ruined our vacation. Because this was me, husband to Dave, taking care of you, taking care of all of this. It's so easy to get overwhelmed and choice and everything. And you had enough choices that you were like, you had enough details in your life that you were in charge of. And I was just going to take care of it. Me husband, me take care of wife, all of that kind of macho bravado or whatever. But I felt like, oh man, I've really messed this up, because I didn't take into consideration that in order to overlook Chattanooga the way that this house did, you had to be pretty darn close to Chattanooga, including this major 6-lane interstate, I-24, which was cutting right through Chattanooga and was probably less than a mile from the house. I mean, we could clearly see the traffic on I-24.
Oh, yeah.
And so we get up the next morning, and I was like, okay, Shannon, how are you doing with the sound? And I could tell that you were kind of stiff upper lipping it a little bit, but your eyes started glistening just a little bit, little shaky chin. I'm like, okay, all right, let's talk. So how did you feel in that moment?
Terrible. Awful. I felt like I'm going to get all teary.
It's okay.
It's just real life, you guys.
Yeah.
I'm not upset. It was just a tender moment. But I felt terrible. I felt like if I could have just shut up and dealt with it and not gone absolutely nuts, I absolutely would have. My main thoughts in that moment were, I'm hurting Dave because I can't deal with something. And I did not like that feeling. And it's hard to be honest when you know somebody's given you a gift of arranging like a big deal, and it's it's not just suboptimal. It's like this will damage me over the week. And so I knew I had to say something. And if you hadn't asked, it would have gone on for a couple of days, I think. But
Yeah.
I felt terrible. I felt like I had no right to say that this wasn't okay. And, that's just a bunch of my stuff of not ever wanting to take up space or be in anybody's way or be a burden. But I think, and you'll have to tell me, I think that I pretty clearly expressed the depth of the botheration.
Yeah. And I want everybody listening, this wasn't like, a bridezilla complaining about, oh my gosh, the towels are folded wrong in the bathroom. You have to get me another. This was none of that kind of stuff. This noise, with the understanding that the whole point of this was to have a mountain retreat type of an experience, the noise was so loud on a Sunday morning that we could clearly hear it through the windows. Now, you open that back door, oh my gosh, it was insanely loud. And for a couple of, musicians, professional audio people, we're very, very tuned to sound. And so it was so flippin' loud. And so I knew you were hurting. You knew that I was feeling a little prickly because now I'm like, husband fail, come on, Dave. And I wasn't thinking, oh, Shannon, just get your stuff together, man. Get over it. I wasn't thinking that at all. I was thinking, this is so obvious that this is a detail I should have caught. And so we were kind of in this cycle of self-blame of all that. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go pick up breakfast. Yeah, actually, I think this was your idea. Why don't you go pick up breakfast? I'm going to sit with this and kind of give it one more chance to see if we can't kind of work through this.
Yep.
And so I pick up breakfast. I get Bojangles because Bojangles, I miss Bojangles. Bring it back. And it's pretty clear that this is not an option for us. And so we finish up breakfast and I'm like, okay, I'm going to flip into my next husband mode, which is I'm going to fix this, right? Because as a husband, I have like two modes, right? I either am going to take care of it or I'm going to fix it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Those are my two primary.
Yes. I often have to tell you, don't fix this, just listen.
Yeah. And we've had conversations, if you're upset, I ask, do you want to be heard? Do you want to be helped or do you want to be rescued? Mm-hmm. And I will ask that. Mm-hmm. 9 times out of 10, you just want to be heard. I don't need to swoop in. I don't need to fix it. I don't need to rescue. I don't need to. Yeah. So asking.
But I will tell you that on this particular Sunday morning, I needed a rescue.
Yep. And so I went and called the dude. Because we booked it through Vrbo, and Vrbo is vacation rentals by owner, I think. And so this wasn't, just some kind of Expedia conglomerate. This was a dude. And I texted him, not even thinking, it's 8:00 on a Sunday morning. Dude might be in church. I don't know. I'm just like, hey.
Dude's probably still asleep.
I said, can you take a call? He's like, yep. And so I just unpacked it for him. I'm like, this house is amazing. The view is as described. However, and I didn't get into the cleanliness because I felt like we had bigger issues.
Yeah.
I said, we're sound professionals, we're musicians, and it's just too noisy here. And even though I didn't buy the insurance, even though I didn't have, cancellation policy or anything, he said, no problem. No problem. We'll refund you.
Yeah.
It is amazing. He said, we'll refund you for the amount for the day that you've paid minus the fees that Vrbo takes out. I think that's very, very fair. And I immediately start looking for another place that we could go into that day.
Today. Yeah.
Which is really, really tough because keep in mind, I had booked this months ago. I had, tabs and tabs of favorited, and I had like weighed the pros and cons of all of this. And so I had spent a ton of time, months doing research. And now we're going to try to do research and we're going to try to find a new place. in the first, in an hour or two.
Yeah.
So I think the first life lesson that I learned at that moment is that when things go sideways, that it's the Captain Picard quote, you can make no error and still fail.
That's life.
That's life. That's
Yep.
not a weakness.
That's called life.
That's
Yep.
just called life. And that's exactly what happened here.
That's right.
It wasn't my mistake for booking that house.
Nope.
It wasn't your mistake for feeling or for the sound being too loud, right? But it would have been so easy for us to kind of spiral, in a kind of codependent kind of way where we're each trying to make each other happy, and it just kind of spins out. And before we know it, it's a lot of tears, and it's a lot of anger. And so we just weren't going to do that. And so
We've
first
never
life
really
lesson,
done that, thankfully.
No.
Sorry.
no,
Go ahead.
we really haven't, and I think communication is absolute key to
Yeah.
that, is having open communication and honest communication with the person that you've decided to spend your life with and spend, that we've been together 33 years, I think, in a couple of months. And so my first life lesson is it's possible to make no mistake and still fail. And that's absolutely what happened.
Yeah.
But when we were looking for another house, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna me husband, you wife this thing. And so I was like, okay, let's look at this together. And so we descended on the Verbo app, like a train. I don't know if trains descend, but we were just like, boom. And so we're making like all these hearts, and we're sharing links back together, back and forth. And we end up finding a place, which, yes, is more money than we had wanted to spend, but that's okay. That's okay. I will pay a little extra to have calm and quiet and peace, ultimately. And so we find this really amazing place among others. They weren't going to be able to let us in until the next day because Verbo didn't allow same-day bookings. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to message the person because it's a human being on the other side, not like an answering service. And she's like, yeah, you can come on up. Just give us until like 4:30 or 5 o'clock and we'll clean it out for you. And we'll have it. And so we packed up the full house because we had unpacked.
I'm going to make the best of this. I'm going to unpack.
Suitcases in the closet. I had already we had already set up the Nintendo, Switch. We had already put stuff in drawers and everything because we were going to be here for a week. But that was also what was so devastating about this being the wrong house. So instead of being like, oh man, we're going to be here for a week, we were like, oh my God, we're going to be here for a week? So we find this new place. And the first thing we did was we kind of broadened our search. Mm-hmm. So even though I had this really narrow focus of what I thought I wanted, I realized when we broaden our search a little bit outside of what we think we want, that the real solution will present itself, which is another life lesson. Sometimes you can get so myopic in what you think you want that you end up closing off yourself to the potentials of what could be out there and what could be good for you beyond your own personal limitations and expectations. Which means that, no, we weren't in Chattanooga proper. No, we weren't, a 6-minute drive to the aquarium. We were, however, in Lookout Mountain, Georgia. I got to tell you, the mountains of Georgia are beautiful. The mountains in North Carolina are stunning, but Georgia, oh man, I kind of started falling in love with it. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I love the mountains anyway. Even though my people are from down around the Charlotte area, Charlotte, North Carolina, I feel like you're going to think I'm weird. I feel like I'm with my ancestors when I'm in the mountains. I feel very connected to it in a way that I can't really explain. So who knows? Maybe I was part of the Celtic people who came over and, But anyway, I love the mountains just generally. And I had the thought while we were up there, we usually go to the beach because it's formerly my grandparents' house, and, it's very dear to me and all that. But it dawned on me that going to the beach is being at the beach. It's all about the beach.
Yeah.
But being in the mountains is just about being quiet and being there. It's not about it is about being in the mountains, but it's not centered on like go and get in the sand.
Right.
I'm not
we weren't going to
explaining
go climb a mountain, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's the destination was the house. And we had already made peace with the fact that we wanted to do like nothing other than maybe go hit in a movie, other than like the aquarium, whatever. The goal was to be at peace in this house. And that's why the other house was so not a fit for us.
Not a fit, and also a very big disappointment.
Yep, a very big disappointment. So we found this amazing house at the top of Lookout Mountain, Georgia, at 23,093 feet. And yes, our ears were popping like crazy. 2,393. Yeah, I'd say your ears popped at 23,000 feet.
Yeah.
Anyway, 2,393 feet. But the house wasn't ready yet for us. And so we have our suitcase. We're completely packed up. We're in the Beetle, and so we're like, you know what? Let's just kind of keep riding. And I remember seeing on the Google map that there's like a hang glider park. And one of the verbos that we had looked at said on a clear day, you might see some hang gliders. And we're like, well, hang gliders, what? And so we find this lookout area, and lo and behold, this is a hang gliding park where
it's
hang gliders. Go ahead.
Sorry. It's specifically a hang gliding school park.
Right. So there are instructors teaching people how to hang glide. Everything from like the firm, the rigid hang gliders to most of them were like the big parachute looking hang gliders. And so we sat there for how long? Had to be close to 2 hours.
At least an hour, probably closer to 2.
Yep.
It was absolutely gorgeous and fascinating. It was incredible. They were up the road just a little bit from us because there were several cars parked from the lookout back. But they were close enough that we could clearly see them, trying to get the canopy up and getting set and getting strapped in and then walking off the side of the mountain. And it was beautiful.
It was.
I can't even begin to describe it. It was otherworldly.
Yeah. And because they were jumping off the other side of Lookout Mountain, because Lookout Mountain kind of goes right up next to Chattanooga, and then on the other side is Georgia. And so they were jumping off the side of a mountain into Georgia and overlooking Georgia and hang gliding. And as we were sitting there watching, there were all these different like personalities that we kind of, projected onto like, oh, here's one that we're going to call Banana Hammock because his hang glider looks like a big giant flying banana. This one we called Failure to Launch because he just he would start and try and then like, oh, and so he must have probably for like 30 minutes trying to jump off. And then we had like the pro, I think. The pro who just like, burp, 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 and
he walked up, jumped out, and he just stayed in the air. Like he would, I think I have a picture of this. I'll have to tell Leo.
Yeah, we took some video. So Leo, we'll send you video
he could
and
just
pictures.
Stop in midair like a helicopter. I've never seen a hang glider be able to do that. It was crazy. Parasailer, I guess. What?
Hang glider, parasite. Yeah. And it was at this moment that I was like, okay, universe, I hear you. Because what we're watching all different types of people tackle the same task, but also dealing with their own set of challenges that are outside of their control. Yeah. Other than, getting a parachute that looks like a giant banana, and then you are hanging below it as if you were in a hammock, ergo banana hammock. But I started thinking, wow, this is a real picture of kind of life here, how sometimes you'll have everything in order and the winds just shift a little bit, and what's your options are to either stomp and complain and give up, or you can untangle yourself, untangle all of your lines and methodically reset so that you can put your canopy up, catch some wind, and try again. And even that's not guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the winds will shift and you'll have to do it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you'll just put your canopy up, the wind will catch, and you will just walk right off the edge of the mountain, trusting that the wind, the universe, has your back and is going to give you the lift you need so that you can stay up there as long as you want. And it was at this time where I felt the shift. I felt like I had the universe had my attention, and I was listening. But the hang gliding was, I'll never forget that.
No,
I've
me
never
either.
been that close to hang gliders before. It was fascinating to watch. Some of them made it look so easy that you think like, oh yeah, how hard could that be? But come on now.
Right. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
That's right. That's right.
And just to reiterate, like when I think of hang gliders, I think of hang gliders up in the sky. But these guys were jumping off parallel to us in altitude. And then they would go up, and then they would be at our level again, and then they would go down. And so it was very tangible, like what they were doing. And I want to add one thing to your life lesson. And I used to talk about this with my students out of Memphis when it came to performance and music and that type of thing. And I used to tell them this: you're a lot like a hang glider. You strap in, you make sure the buckles are done, you make sure the canopy's the right way. You do all the things you can to prepare, to know what's going to happen, and to keep yourself safe. But when you step off the edge of the mountain, you have no idea what the wind is actually going to do. So you're going to be reacting to that, but your preparation doesn't automatically grant you a good flight or a bad flight or whatever. So prepare and be ready and know what you're doing, but also know how to shift when you get out there.
Yeah, that is so good. The preparation doesn't come in the flight itself. It comes in the pre-flight, making sure that the gear is right, that you've packed everything appropriately, that you've put the work in beforehand so that when the winds shift, you are able to handle it and adjust with it so that you can stay flying.
Yeah.
Yeah. We took so many videos of that. It was fascinating. I've never been that close to anything. And turns out like that was a pretty breezy day. I don't think they did it because it got kind of stormy by the end of the week. And so
I think that was the only day.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
And so we finally get into the house, we walk through, and the view from the back porch, which I say porch, it is this like huge deck.
Can I say what I said when I first saw the view?
Yeah.
I said, okay. So
we had to laugh. And that's what the thumbnail for this video was taken, I think, on that first night. On that first, when sunset hit, we're like, oh, I thought I wanted this enclosed view that's noisy, but it sure looks beautiful, but it's close and it's convenient and it's in our price range and this will do. But then we go to the view we got that overlooked not just the Valley of Chattanooga, but sprawling miles and miles of mountains. It was stunning.
Yes.
And was such an upgrade from where we were.
Oh my
God. That I felt like, okay, we are taken care of, we are prosperous, we are loved, we are blessed. And it was absolutely, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And I felt good. I was like, all right, this was the absolute right choice. And it washed away any sense of Dave, you failed as a husband. And Shannon, washed away her kind of like, oh, I hurt Dave, because I just couldn't hack it or whatever. All of that was instantly gone because we were now in the right place, which was outside our price range. It was outside of where I thought I wanted us to be. It was really too far away from just zipping into Chattanooga, but that's okay because that wasn't the point of the trip. The point of the trip was to recharge and to rejuvenate our souls so that when we come back to Orlando, we come back to 52Qs and Full Sail and all of those kind of things, that we have a full tank that we can start, giving back again. And so we get settled in, and the Monday and the Tuesday after was just tons of lounge time. I mean, that's
The Monday was, yeah.
the Monday was. It was Wednesday that we went into town, right?
Well, Tuesday I had to work.
Right. So Monday was the loungy time. We found, no, we weren't 6 minutes from the grocery store, but we could drive 15 minutes the opposite direction into this little cute Georgia town called Trenton, Georgia, that had an amazing Mexican restaurant. Man, it had an amazing barbecue joint, and it was cute and adorable. That we never would have even thought to go to. And so we went and got some groceries. We vegged out on Star Trek Next Generation. I was playing silly iPad games. Shannon was playing silly games on her iPad as well, because we knew we didn't want to do anything. Like, we were just going to unplug. We're in this beautiful place. Lots of time spent on the back patio, on the deck. Lots of time spent just chilling out. And so Tuesday comes, and then we've got some work to do, right?
Yeah, I had planned on doing it Sunday after we arrived, but it wasn't the right time.
Right.
Or environment. So what I needed to do on Tuesday was to wrangle those 604 tracks for the NFL and CBS. I was exhausted. I was burned out. I was so happy that we had found this place that all I wanted to do was keep vegging. And I was at the end of myself. And so I'm sitting here trying to work on this, like, really incredibly detailed, like, I have to find, with coding and AI and all that, I'm using the tools. I don't need rescuing. Thank you. But like, I have to find extra spaces in the titles. I have to make sure the 2 zeros are on the front of the IPI, and I know they're not necessary. I don't need, thank you. Sorry, every time I mention a question I had, somebody answers it, and I'm like, where were you a week ago? I really needed you. Anyway, it did not go well. I was not on my, my regular beefy desktop computer. I was on a laptop. I didn't have all the files I need. I had uploaded them before we left, but the upload was taking forever, so I don't actually know if they uploaded or not. So I'm going back to the original files. I'm pulling those files down, starting over with the name, and on and on and on. And by the middle of the afternoon, I was devastatingly panicked that this was not, I had been working for 2 hours and hadn't gotten anything done. And here I am on vacation. I want to just close my laptop, hang out with Dave. And so I'm freaking out. And Dave comes in and rescues. And so thank you for stepping in and doing what you did. And I wound up doing it when we got home anyway. So the lesson that I learned from that is, if you're going to take time off, take time off.
Yeah.
And I didn't take this on the trip because I wanted to do it on the trip. I could not get to it before vacation. Right. In which case, I should have said to the publisher, I'm not going to be able to have this done until X. And I have a terribly hard time doing that because I hate disappointing people. But my lesson for myself is self-care comes first. Put the oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on someone else. I had a student one time say, that's just stupid. Why wouldn't I help out my my seatmate here first. Well, if you don't put on your own oxygen mask, you're going to pass out and not help anybody.
That's
So that was my takeaway from that day, was like, just if you're going to take time off, take time off.
Yeah, and like you said, it ended up not really getting wrapped up until the next week anyway, which, newsflash, the world did not come to a crashing halt. In fact, even though the deliverables were postponed a few days, it ended up, I think, working out for the better because, parenthetically, some of those cues from those records have already made air. They made air last week on a preseason game.
Yep.
Does that mean that if we would have gotten it in time, it would have been too early? I don't know. But when we were able to get it and when the editors and the producers got it in their hands, it was the exact right time because this wasn't because anybody was being lazy. It wasn't because anybody is incompetent. It wasn't because you just were procrastinating and didn't want it. You just physically couldn't do it. And so trying to squeeze it into your vacation time was going against what the universe was trying to get you to do, which was to just tap
chill
the brakes. Yeah, just calm yourself. I'm trying to let you recharge. And so we get it out the door by the time we get home, and cues have already made air.
Yep.
So awesome. All right. So yeah, and I got a little prickly with it because we had talked earlier about, do you need to be helped? Do you need to be heard? Or do you need to be rescued? And I was already kind of like in my deceleration mode, and so having to kind of put back on the rescue gear, and go back into the burning building. I just had to get into that mindset. But
this sucks. I
like this.
hate this.
It's really hot in here, man. But I love you, and I would literally walk through fire for you. And so I was happy to do it because we are an effective team. And so this is a team sport.
Yeah.
But we get on the other side of that, and then we get into Wednesday. And I promise you, we're not going to take you through every single day like this, because once we get on the other side of Wednesday, then things really start smooth sailing. But we had to get through Wednesday. And Wednesday was our day into Chattanooga. That we were going to go see Fantastic Four in IMAX. And I had bought the tickets and all of those types of things. And so we were going to go to the aquarium, and it was going to be great. It's going to be a great day. Oh, yep, because Dave, the planner, I'm in charge and I'm going to do it. This is the one thing that I knew we were going to actually do. And so we get to the movie theater. And
first of all.
Okay. Did I jump ahead too much?
I just want to explain about Chattanooga, because I've been to Chattanooga before. Like 15, 17 years ago. It was quaint and darling and wonderful. That's not the case right now.
It is not that anymore.
Right now, it is filled with god-awful traffic. Everything downtown is under construction. We could not figure out what way to go on the streets. I mean, it was just chaos. It was bizarre. It is not at all. Now, somebody from Chattanooga is going to come on and go, our town's not like that. I'm sure it's not, but the weekend that we were there, it was.
The stress in the traffic in Chattanooga was the same as the stress in Atlanta. Even though there was more people in Atlanta, the stress that I was feeling, it's much more than Orlando. And some of that might be,
That's unfamiliar. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and part of it was because everything's under construction, Waze was telling us to go all these back ways and everybody else. So we're driving in heavy traffic on not just residential streets, but the kind of residential streets that don't have any curb, like just a strip of pavement, not meant for heavy traffic. And so already when we got to the movie theaters, it was like our nerves are frayed.
Yeah. Yeah. And these are these little back roads that have, been dealing with snow and all of that other kind of stuff as well. So I'm like, I am not enjoying my Chattanooga day here. We go into the movie theaters. I show my little code. It's like, beep. Oh, it's not working. I'm like, oh, try again. Beep. Oh, it's not working. Here, try, on my phone or my watch or whatever. And then he looks at it and he's like, oh, this is for Sunday. I bought the wrong ticket for the wrong day.
I've never seen you do anything like that.
I was so out of sorts. I felt so scattered and spacey. And at this point, I'm like, man, I'm like 0 for 4 on this trip so far. And I'm taking L after L after L. Come to find out, the next IMAX showing is like at 7:00 at night. We were there for a 3:00 show. And so the manager was super cool about it. It's like, yeah, you can come back later. You can go get dinner. I'm like, no. I'm a matinee. We are matinee people here.
Firmly.
And so we ended up seeing it at this a smaller screen. And we're crazy early. We're like an hour early for the movie because the actual next showing was like at 4:00 or something like that. And so we get popcorn, we get soda, and we sit down. We're the only ones there. And I'm just shoveling popcorn because we haven't had lunch or anything yet. We've had our morning coffee, but I'm shoveling popcorn, like downing liters of Coca-Cola. And then the movie starts and it's great. And I immediately start.
He has some distress.
Some gastric distress. Now, I'm not going to get too graphic here, but let me just say that I don't remember the last time I had to use the facilities, not in a standing way for us guys, right? How to say this? Number 2, not number 1, but a number 2. I don't remember the last time I've done that in any public bathroom.
Seriously.
I have never in my entire life done that in a movie theater bathroom.
Mm-mm.
Keep in mind, we're huge Marvel fans. I've been looking forward to this movie, and I had to peace out for like 20 minutes of the movie because I was wretchedly ill in the toilet. To the point where Shannon's like texting me, "Are you okay?" I'm like, just sitting on a toilet. And that was kind of devastating. Now, the good news is we were the first people there. This was the first showing of the day. The bathrooms were pristine. So I can't say the after was as pristine as when I found it, but I think I'm doing good, Shannon.
Leo, edit as necessary.
Please don't. My point is this is another example where Dave's masterful plan got completely upended through really no fault of his own. I mean, okay, all right, maybe downing a gallon of sugar water and sweetened corn or salty corn, probably, on an empty stomach, probably not the best choice. But it turns out I missed like the best point of the whole movie, the best part, the part that all of the reviews say, the movie's good, but this part's amazing. And I totally missed it.
Yep.
I missed the coolest part. And I'm just like, you know what? I don't even care. Because when I went in there, I was like, oh, gotta hurry up. But I was like, you know what? This is more important to me right now. Priorities, Dave. And so we get done. Shannon, she did her best to kind of fill me in. And so then we were going to go get dinner. Did we end up getting dinner?
We did.
Yes.
We went to, I can't remember the name of it now, but it's a little like German food pub.
Yeah, a little German pub in downtown Chattanooga. We were going to drive around. That was delightful. But I was so nervous. I'm like, do I now have IBS? Is that just life now? And so I was super nervous to eat anything, but we're at a German restaurant. So we're ordering like beer and Spätzle and all this other, German food with brats and sausages and stuff. Turns out I was okay. I was gastrically okay for the rest of the day, but I was just super nervous. Then we were like, let's maybe go to the aquarium after that. But with driving around, the traffic is obnoxiously dense. And I ended up going the wrong way down one of the streets because I couldn't make out where the sidewalk was. And it turns out I wasn't seeing a sidewalk. I was seeing a median. We have the top down, right? We are Floridians. We've got the Florida license plate on a convertible. I drive the wrong way. And I'm like, hey, this is a thing that's happening right now. So I like back up in the middle of the road. The lights change. People are coming at us, honking. And I'm just like, don't look at me. Just Florida man here.
Meanwhile, the whole time I've been over here going, sorry. Just tops down. Sorry, everybody. Sorry.
So I am so in my head about all of this.
Meanwhile, Shannon, who freaks out more than Dave does, I'm just like rolling with it. I'm like, all right, I got my quiet. I don't care. So he's probably feeling some kind of pressure to not ruin our vacation. And I'm just like, no, it's cool, baby. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And because this was our day in Chattanooga that we were going to, and we had thought about, like, we'll go back out later. We'll come back to the aquarium later. And it turns out we didn't. Because by the time we got home, I was like, and scene on Chattanooga. I was not interested in really going back in. And I don't even think, did we ever go back into the city proper? No, that Wednesday. And we basically sequestered ourselves up into this amazing, gorgeous mountain house. If we needed something, we went into Trenton, which is on the other side of the mountain. And that was pretty much it.
I do have one experience to add that I think you've forgotten about.
Oh.
And that was on one of the days that we were sequestered. I had been napping on and off all day, and I woke up and it was like 7:00. And I said, babe, why don't you stick the pizza in the oven?
Oh, my.
Because we had bought a little frozen pizza at the grocery store.
Yep.
And he's like, okay. And I'm sitting out on the deck. And after a while, I thought, God, he's been gone a while. All right. And then he came out and he said, well, do you want the good news or the bad news? And I said, well, let's start the good news. And you're like, pizza's done. And then
Smells delicious.
What did you say after that, Dave?
The bad news is it's upside down on the floor. And this was like the DiGiorno with rising crust.
Oh, yeah.
It was going to be amazing. And I mean, if this house had one flaw, the flaw is that the refrigerator was really too big. And so the oven door didn't open all the way flat, which was not a problem when you are putting a hard frozen disc thing into the oven, but trying to get a floppy disk thing out of the oven. And it had to look like freaking Keystone Cops, me trying to get that out because I have like the paper. I don't have all the tools that I really, really need. I don't even really have like an oven mitt. I'm like, I'm going to burn myself. I have like this irrational fear of ovens to begin with. And I'm trying to pull it out. And then it literally went upside down, landed face down onto this amazingly beautiful floor. Shannon, I don't know if I told you this. Jackson Pollocked pizza sauce everywhere. It looked like a crime scene in that kitchen. I didn't tell you that. I cleaned it up.
I wondered because I realized that that's what was taking so long, or whatever. But when I went in, I was shocked how clean it was. So good job. And help me understand why you didn't just close the oven door and come get me and say, hey, can you help me with this?
I've asked myself that more than I care to admit since that happened. Well, I don't know. It wasn't like this macho, like, me husband, me take care of what. It wasn't any of that. It was just, this was mine to do. In the moment, I'm like, okay, this is mine to do. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to provide and I'm going to take out the pizza and we're going to have this nice moment. Nope.
Is there a
Oh my
life
gosh.
lesson in there anywhere? There's got to be. That was pretty.
The life lesson is it's okay to ask for help, even on something that you should be able to do yourself.
That's really good.
And at first I was like, oh, dang, the oven didn't open up. This is their fault. All right. But no, I flipping knew better. I knew better. I knew when I put it in, this is going to be dicey when I get it out. But I could do it.
I didn't know you had that forethought.
It was fleeting, but no, I thought, this doesn't open all the way. This could be danger ahead. But I had that moment where I was like, I can salvage this. Can we eat this? I think we might be able. It's a pretty clean floor, right?
Thank you for not sharing that with me in the moment.
Then when I pulled it up and like all of the toppings were just on the floor. So I had basically pizza bread or pizza sauce bread. And it was all in parts. The pizza sauce splattered like a crime scene. Oh my gosh. I'm like, we're going to get like 1 star on our Verbo. They're going to hate us, man. And that was actually before the Wednesday, I think. I think that was Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday night. Tuesday night it was. Because I was taking care of dinner because you had been working so hard.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, you had been working so hard. Like, I'm gonna do you a favor, and I don't want to trouble her.
I'm gonna do you a favor by flopping your dinner onto the floor.
Oh my God. And so that was the night before we go to Chattanooga, and I drive the wrong way, and I buy the wrong ticket, and I have explosive bowel distress in the. So it was a rough couple of days for Dave. But the big takeaway life lesson is that no matter how much you plan, things go sideways that you can't control. And about halfway through, because Thursday and Friday were brilliant.
Amazing.
It was kind of rainy when it needed to be. We saw fireflies that we hadn't seen in decades.
20 years at least.
Since we had seen actual fireflies. Mm-hmm. The cicadas were so amazing and loud and crazy, and we could hear the train. It was picturesque and gorgeous. I would love to be up there in the fall.
Oh my gosh.
If we wanted to punch that, spot off of our Florida bingo card, it's drive up in the mountains.
Yeah.
With your Florida license plate. But I think ultimately, in addition to the Picard, you can make no mistakes and still lose. That's life. Is embracing my inner Stoic, my inner Marcus Aurelius, and not let the things that I don't have control over impact my ability to be at peace, but rather how I respond to those things. And so while in the moment, I wasn't ready to laugh about that pizza because I was pissed.
Yeah. You notice I didn't go volunteer to help you clean up.
I had done the most work before I even said, hey, I dropped pizza.
But you did go do more, and I just kind of let you go.
But what I wasn't angry, like after the fact. I wasn't angry at myself. I wasn't angry. I didn't let it really stick on me. Turning the wrong way, I wasn't angry about it. Missing the best 20 minutes of Fantastic Four, I wasn't angry about that. And that was a real kind of shift, because I think if I had like allowed all of this comedy of errors start stacking up on me, you could get really in your head. And so, if we were to steer this into production music territory, you're like cranking out cues and you're pitching them and you're getting rejection after rejection, or maybe taxi return after return. It's so easy for, first of all, to start blaming yourself, or to start blaming the system, or blaming your tools, or blaming somebody else. But how you respond to that and trying to stay positive and make the best out of the situation without letting all of those things stick on you. And I think that's the big lesson, so that I don't end up as the failure to launch guy, but I am the pro. Because I promise you, even though the day we were watching the hang gliders, that one guy was failure to launch and the other guy was the pro, I promise you there are days when those roles are reversed. And the guy that we saw effortlessly walk off the mountain has had days where he could not get any lift whatsoever. We just weren't there to see it. So we came home, pretty uneventful, the drive home. I mean, it really was. Thursday and Friday and Saturday were very, very uneventful. Gorgeous drive home. It took us, because we were 30 minutes away from where we started, from where we came up on the previous Saturday. It took us this really cool, windy back mountain roads. It was absolutely gorgeous. We saw parts of Georgia we never would have seen before if we were just, going 80 miles an hour on the interstate. And so what I want to leave you with, viewers and listeners, is when you are facing an obstacle and you are starting to doubt yourself, ask yourself, is there a lesson that the universe is trying to teach me here? And even if you're like, the universe or God or whatever, deity or presence or whatever, that's not the point of this. But is there a takeaway that can help transform you into a better version of yourself? And how you respond in that moment, I think, is where you really grow. Yep. Well, I look forward to our next vacation. Actually, our next trip isn't a vacation. We are going to LA at the first week of October.
We are going to LA for PMC.
That's right. Are you excited about PMC?
I am. It's a little weird because I've been one of those people who, since COVID, has still worked at home and doesn't really go out much. Just the nature of my life. Everything's here. So I'm a little bit like, oh, people. Okay. So a little anxiety about that. But as far as like being in the room with people and having meals and going to panels and stuff like that, I'm super excited about that.
Yeah. I am beyond thrilled that you're able to join me. And for anybody who listened to last year's episode about PMC, we did get a direct flight. Yes, we're flying to LA. I am not flying into Burbank. That airport is dead to me. If I can't fly direct, but we're flying direct, I would much rather pay for a $90 Uber than deal with layovers and flight changes and all of that. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But even if things go sideways, I know two things are true. First of all, there's probably a universal life lesson in it for me to learn. And second, I'm not going to be by myself this time. You're not going to have to deal with a mentally breaking down Dave in a hotel room at like 3 a.m. going, this sucks. Why aren't you here? Looking forward to that.
That's my job. Dave's security blanket.
Yep.
No, I'm kidding. That's really not.
If you're going to be in LA for PMC, that is October 7th, 8th, and 9th, I believe, is when PMC is.
And we're doing a 52 Qs meetup.
Yes, we are. The night before.
On that Monday night, the 6th. So if you're a part of the community, you can see that already in the events and you can RSVP. And we would love to see you. That'd be absolutely. In person.
Yeah, please do RSVP so that we can make sure to get enough tables. Right now, there's like 16 people, man. This is going to be a party. We are going to the NBC store, the NBC restaurant, I think is the one we're going. It's super easy to get to from where we are, and they've got big tables. But Shannon, thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for reminding me about the dropped pizza. I had already pushed that out of my mind. But you know what? I can laugh about it now.
Yay.
I can laugh about it now. Thank you so much. I love you. And I'm so glad that we get to do this together.
Me too.
Once again, a huge word of thanks to Shannon for joining me today on the podcast. And thank you for just, hearing an old married couple tell their tales. But hopefully you learned something from that. But I want to hear from you. If you are from Chattanooga, please know our intention is not to throw a ton of shade at Chattanooga. It was not our favorite experience. But if there's something we should have known about Chattanooga, please hit us up in the comments. Or if you have some other suggestions maybe of where Mrs. 52Qs and I can take another vacation in the future, please let us know in the comments. The only prerequisite is it's got to be quiet. We cannot have any loud vacation homes. So we are going to take a super quick break, and we're going to listen to an alternate universe version of me tell you about how you can join us at 52Qs. And when we return, we're going to be taking a listen to a hip-hop comedy dramedy Q that has some Italian flavor. We'll be right back. Every week I talk about how this episode and the podcast and the community, the channel, would not be possible without the amazing support of our family, friends, and neighbors, subscribers of 52Qs, who do pay their actual real-life money to keep all of this going. And in addition to being thriving members of the community, as well as supporting me and Shannon and everything that we're doing here, they also receive extra perks like live streams, workshops, Zoom feedback sessions, hundreds and hundreds of hours of video archives, weekly Q breakdowns, production music almanac, living ebook, and the opportunities to submit to real music libraries. Now, it's free to join 52Qs. You can just go to 52qs.com and sign up, be a member of the community. We would love to have you. It will always be free to join the community. But if you've been watching, or if maybe this is your first time, but if you're wondering, is there a way to kind of level up my production music skills in the industry, meeting like-minded, super friendly, very generous composers? Then why don't you think about subscribing? Memberships start at around $4 a month, and we would love to have you. Again, that's 52qs.com. So that was Leave the Cannoli, that title taken from, I believe it was a line of dialogue from The Godfather that says, "Take the gun, leave the cannoli." So for you family and friends subscribers, be on the lookout for a complete Q breakdown of Leave the Cannoli, including sound choices, harmonic choices, melodic choices, the arrangement, and a ton more. That's going to be hitting the Q breakdown here very soon. But that is going to do it for us this week. You definitely want to tune in next week, because if you'll remember, a few weeks ago, I talked about light tension. And I talked about how light tension is kind of, or tension in general is a spectrum. And we looked at light tension and specifically talked about the sub-moods within light tension, which would be tasking, corporate, and documentary, relational, investigative, and true crime. And so I thought what could be a really good idea is to spend an episode unpacking each one of these submoods. So next week, I am going to be unpacking investigative tension, talking about the sound choices, harmonic choices, melodic choices, how I put together and arrange investigative tension cues. So you definitely want to stick around next week for that. But once again, thanks so much for watching. I know you have a ton of options out there, and just know that I appreciate you. And if you like what I do here, then watch something else that I put together. I'm sure YouTube is going to recommend something here at the end of the video, or we have links also during the end credits. But once again, thanks for joining me. I hope you've had a great week. And even if you didn't, even if you had a week like Mrs. 52 Q's and I had up in Chattanooga, well, at least the first half of the week. The back half got significantly better. But even if it's not going so great, I trust that next week is going to be better. And why do I believe that? Because I trust and believe that the universe has amazing plans just for you. Until next time, peace. The 52 Q's podcast is copyright 2025 818 Studios, all rights reserved. The music played on the podcast is copyright of their respective owners and is used with permission and for educational purposes only. For more information, including joining the community, submitting your cue for review, or becoming a member subscriber of 52 Q's, head over to 52qs.com.